I've transformed my body into a dangerous weapon.
Sarah Michelle Gellar plays Daphne, the always fashionable damsel in distress. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Something tells me, and I've known you for 3 minutes, but when you were going to Columbia Prep here in New York City, you were not spending Saturday mornings watching Scooby-Doo.
I did. It was actually one of the only cartoons that I watched.
Why'd you like it?
Well, because growing up, so many of the cartoons that were around when I was young.
Yeah,
listen to
like
me now,
20
like
20 years ago.
5 years ago. No, they were all gender-based. It was like G.I. Joe and Transformers. See, there's one people don't know now, Transformers.
Right.
And then the girls were like Strawberry Shortcake and My Little Pony, and I couldn't identify with any of them.
So you knew all about the series and the plots and the stories before you decided to take the role?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to. You have to think about going into something like this, like, okay, am I going to be the person that ruins Scooby-Doo? It's the longest-running cartoon ever, and there's a reason for that.
Daphne, I mean, kids grew up watching Daphne. They have this preconceived notion of what she's going to be like. As an actress, then, does that hem you in when you bring her to the big screen?
Oh, absolutely. It's difficult because everyone knows exactly what she sounds like, how she looks, how she talks. And as an actor, one of the first things you want to do when you go into a new role is say, you know, okay, well, what's she going to look like? What are her mannerisms? And all of that's been predetermined. And so then you're taking this character, you have to humanize it, you have to three-dimensionalize it, but at the same time, you have to be true to what is essentially the integrity of a cartoon character.
But she's not quite the damsel in distress in the movie that she is in the cartoon series.
No, you have to take that a step further. I think people, when they watch the cartoon, they always want to know, well, how come she's the one that always gets caught? So we took it a step further and made it seem as if she didn't want to be the one that gets caught.
Is it true that you're like some kind of a martial arts expert?
I did. I studied at Richard Chun's School of Taekwondo on 86th and 3rd above the old Crazy Eddie. That's where
Really?
That's where I went to. That's where I started.
So you can kick a little rear end.
I can.
Yeah, because you get to do some in the movie is the reason I asked. So it's not something, we didn't have a lot of stunt people doing this.
Well, we didn't have a lot of stunt people, but I had never worked with a Hong Kong wire team before. So, you know, you go in the first 3 weeks, they kept calling for girl, and it took me almost 3 weeks to realize that I'm girl.
Yeah, you're girl.
Girl. And then my stunt double was Girl Barker. It was sort of like girl and Girl Barker. And so I had about 3 weeks of intensive wire training, which was really fun and much more difficult than I think I thought it would be going into it.
One of the things that's always amazed me about films like this is you have to remember that as an actor or an actress, you are standing there acting with a stuffed animal, basically, because Scooby-Doo doesn't exist.
Absolutely. It's really hard. You know, you give your best, you give 100%, and you have to sort of, in your head, imagine what they're going to do with the cartoon, but you don't know what they're going to do.
But then when you see the finished product, do you say, okay, it's exactly the way I thought it was going to be?
You know, I have to say honestly, and I'm not just saying this, I think he's better than I thought he was going to be. The technology is so advanced now. He's such a leading man, Scooby, and he's so endearing, and I know I'm talking about a cartoon
leading
dog.
Man.
I know, but he is. I mean, essentially, we're just the background to the dog.
Speaking of leading men, your fiancé, Freddie Prinze Jr., is in the movie. He plays Fred, right?
He plays Fred.
A blonde.
A blonde.
He dyed his hair. So do blondes have more fun?
I don't think he did as a blonde. Let me tell you, every 8 days coloring his hair, I loved it. It was so great for him to the shoe to be on the other foot. He'd be, I have to get my hair colored today. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the movies and go a little shopping. And when I get back, maybe you'll be done.
The things we do for art. Let me ask you quickly, you're going into the 7th season.
7th season.
On Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which, by the way, was based on a movie that didn't do all that well.
Absolutely.
So why has the television series attracted such a following, in your opinion?
Because we've taken it quite a few steps further. I think that was sort of the transition for women in television. It was time to have women leading the shows. You know, in Hollywood, it's still difficult to open a women's film, but television is where I think women really take the forefront. And it was sort of the time of Ally McBeal and the time where we wanted to see a strong female character. And I think the reason the show didn't work as a movie was it was just one story that people couldn't invest in.
It's working as a show. Good luck with Scooby-Doo. Sarah Michelle Gellar, good to have you here.
It was lovely to be here.
We're back on a Wednesday morning. This is Today on NBC.